how'd you meet your wife?
So I met my wife. It was simply through a Write a Prisoner website. It's like
Right, a prisoner website.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a so you have to sign up for it, of course. It's a pamphlet that they send you in prison, and you receive the pamphlet, and it gives you instructions on how to go about it, right? Whether it's writing a 250-word essay, uh, sending a picture, a drawing, or something that best describes you, right? And you pay the amount. I think at that time it was like $40.
So, bro, you up there tendering.
Yeah, through paper though, like this is like at its finest. Like we didn't press buttons and send likes. Like this was like I
Old
have
school,
I have
bro.
250 words to best describe myself.
That's hot.
That's fucking hot.
That is
So
hot.
best believe it. Like I'll put in some shit that
Long walks on the
yeah,
beach.
like
I love it.
I enjoy this and that.
Oh
Like
man.
so,
And no picture?
I put a picture,
Okay,
and at that
okay.
time, like I'm young, I'm handsome, like, and I'm all tatted up. Like these girls are attracted. They want a fucking bad boy, right? Like
Dude,
let's be real about this shit.
that's
Like they're looking in the wrong places
for Ernesto.
for fucking love, and and that's not to even like let's put it on the table. Like most of these women, not to say all, some are looking for love. Out here, you can find the same thing out here that you find in there, right?
Right.
And vice versa,
Right.
right? Like, if anything, I think that some men in there are a little bit more in tune with themselves because they don't have distractions, right? You don't have like the social media, you don't have everything else. So
Like you.
exactly,
Like you.
like me at that time,
Yes.
right? And I really wasn't really looking for a girlfriend. I was looking more for a friend, someone to pass time and write. By the grace of God, man, my wife entered my life. When she entered my life, I don't know how that saying goes, behind every good man or there's a strong woman, whatever. I felt like that fit me because I was at my infancy of change. I was at my infancy of losing important people in my life, right? And I knew things were gonna get worse.
Mm.
And I was either gonna just lash out and become even worse in what I was doing, or I was gonna get a hold of who I was and say, man, like I'm losing more than what I'm gaining. At that point, like I recognized that. And when she came into my life, like, she doesn't remember, but at least how I perceived how what she told me through a letter was, I told her, like, would you ever want to be with someone like me? And what I got back was like, no, you don't have no life. Like all you talk about is your homies, all you talk about is life and this, and that. Of course, I was a full blown gang member, right? And that challenged me to say, you know what? I was like, I'm gonna change my life, not for you, but for the next person. Because I want to contribute into someone's life. Like I want to be that person that gives to someone rather than takes. And like
Preach, bro.
like I started to get my shit together.
When you talked about meeting your wife online,
Yeah.
you said that, and then you started to talk about this transformation in you. Did the transformation begin in you before you met her, or once you started talking to her?
Once I started talking to her.
So this woman is a saint at the time.
Yeah.
Like she when you began speaking with her on a regular basis, did it start to bring you peace?
I feel that it did because I was able to um see a different perspective, right? She grew up different than I did. She has both parents, right? She's educated, comes from a good home, good family.
And yet she's on a prison website looking
for a motherfucker like me, right? And whether she says that she was or wasn't, the story behind it was that she was doing a project and her teacher told her to look for, front stories of someone in prison. So she wrote a man. Well, she wrote a man and a woman, and I was the only one that was able to respond. It being that I was that man that she wrote to.
Let me take you back to that prayer that you prayed when you were laying in your own blood
Yeah.
when you pray for peace. I'm not trying to get preachy or anything, but more often than not, God answers our prayers in the form of another person.
Yeah.
And she was your person.
Oh yeah, for
That
sure.
that prayer got answered that night when she found you online.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah. I think that she's definitely been a big blessing in my life. More than what I can even like afford, right? And I feel that like because I've talked about my struggles still, and I think it gets to a point where like why I'm still at a point in my life where you still don't feel worthy, right? Like you still don't feel capable of. It's like, you know, so many things have gone wrong that it's kind of almost as if like you don't know how to value or cherish anything that's good, right? And like she brought a shift into my life that like I had to talk different, I had to walk different, I had to dress different. And then on top of that, like her family didn't even want her to marry someone like myself. So you imagine that, right? And then I remember I called my mom. I'm like, Mom, like, this is the situation. She's like, if she was my daughter, I would have told her the same thing.
Right.
So it hurt even more, like, because now this is the woman that to some extent has caused emotional damage. And then you have this woman, but my wife, I remember like she was I had proposed to her in 2015, and up to the day of the wedding, like she was unsure of what she wanted to do because of the pressure of her family. And I remember she told me like I choose love over family. And like for me that was deep because no one had ever chose me as the first option.